And that wasn't...
I both
Friends you learn.
all the cooking.
What you'll hear next may astonish, disturb, and provoke you. Know that the events, characters, and conversations are not real. They are imaginary, concocted for the purpose of release and entertainment. Interpret accordingly.
I let you.
Hello there, it's me, Greg, and I'm here with my friend Donald. We're inside a beat-up little apartment that I broke into. I'm sorry, regular owner. I didn't mean to take this apartment. It was just open. Like, it was just open. The fridge had food. Like, the TV was on, and you can't expect me to just walk in and be like, what's this? And no one's been here for like 3 days, man. Just 3 days. Nothing. I've turned the bathroom into my own little, like, sandbox. 'Cause I can do whatever the fuck I want here. He doesn't have to give me back my alimony. What's that thing that renters give?
Deposit. Security deposit.
Yeah, the alimony.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Baloney.
I don't even have to do
It's
that.
a lot of baloney is what it is, though.
You know what? You're a lot of baloney.
That's what security deposits are. It's like, hey,
Also, you know what else has a lot of baloney?
Sandwiches?
This fridge.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
There's
The
like
fridge.
6 packs of Oscar Mayer here.
Oh, here. Let me get into one of those. Actually, a little snack before we get into the show.
Roll it up, baby. I don't know. Why would you eat bologna like that?
Oh, I don't like it. I forgot how much I dislike bologna.
What? It's, like it's a mashup of meat.
This could be made of anything.
That has a very soft, velvety inner layer, and then a very hard rubber bandy outside.
It smells like the school bus I took when I was a kid. Like, I don't...
I wasn't allowed to ride the school bus.
No?
My parents had to drive me to school.
Oh, hey, at least I drove you.
I used to get motion sickness a lot.
That's door-to-door service, man. I would have preferred that. There was some ex-con driving a bus, blasting hip-hop, just screaming kids. Oh my god, it was nuts.
I mean, driving to school was kind of cool because it was like, oh, I'm in bed now. Open up the door. Here it is.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's door to door.
Being raised in RVs, it was really good sometimes.
Yeah, hit the road.
You know what isn't good?
All this
dust and cat hair.
All the wood dust. Hi, by the way, sorry. Hello, thank you for joining us again. I'm Don.
I'm Greg.
And we are the Boxcar Buddies, but this week we're not in a boxcar. We've been scoping out this building. I thought it was an abandoned building because I've seen a lot of, I shouldn't say crackheads, but that's how I'm going to classify them. Their drug of choice could be something different, but, substitute whatever substance you want in there, but blank heads walking in and out.
Blackheads.
Yeah, black, I guess. Their eyes look sort of blacked out. You know what I mean? Like
I was gonna say blackheads because they're, they get
Pimply?
deep. They get deep into the system, and then you have to have extra hands in order to squeeze them out.
Yeah, like a professional help in order to scoop out.
Honestly,
of
right
course.
now we're a couple blackheads.
We are because anyway, as Greg and I were scoping this building out, we thought it was abandoned, and we thought it'd be a nice place to maybe set up our equipment instead of trying to hijack another abandoned boxcar and stuff. The people at the rail yard have really heightened security since we started doing this, so any other avenues that we can take in order to record week to week like we like to do, we've been exploring. And this building was something we've been building up to for a while, and it turns out it's actually a residential building. It's only the first floor that is condemned and abandoned and used for all kinds of things, presumably. I mean, there's a fridge with bologna in it, but the fridge is actually not plugged in. I'm looking back there now, and I see that that outlet is gone. Somebody pulled the faceplate off of that thing. So this bologna, I don't know what's going to happen to it, but
well, it did say. Hold on, let me see the
take the. What is it? What's the
expiration date? March 27th, 2003.
03. We got 03 bologna in here.
Mm-hmm.
Does it age well like wine, do you think?
I mean, you ate some, so
yeah.
I figured that you would be the one to tell.
It doesn't. It really doesn't.
I mean,
My palate is not great, though. I mean, what do you got? Ooh. What do you think?
Tastes just like bologna.
Yeah, I don't...
You know, this Oscar Mayer stuff, I don't think it ages.
I don't think so either. It looks like it's sawdust, but it maintained its shape. It's circular, and the rubber bandiness of the outside, like the texture is exactly the same.
It tastes like bologna. Like,
Yeah.
I don't taste any sourness to it.
It's so weird. It's so weird. But again, another
Ladies
reason.
and gentlemen, if you want to throw this to a test, we'll call this a Boxcar Buddy test. Get a pack of Oscar Mayer, and then just leave it sit.
See how long before any noticeable changes happen to it. That's an experiment that we would.
And
like
then,
everybody to
if
carry
there
out.
is no noticeable change, send it via our email so we can eat it.
Craigslist at gmail.com.
Yeah, just
3Gs.
send it so I can eat it.
Because that's how email works.
Yeah, it's like an Amazon thing.
Yeah.
Like, you go online and you go, boop, boop, I want the toolkit.
And then a drone just shows up at your door and spits it out.
Drops it off.
Thanks, drone. And then you just shut the door in its face. No tip. No tip for you, drone.
No, you know why? Because their existence is to give me the things that I order from.
Robots. That's what they're programmed to do. Just do it. But anyway...
No,
Greg,
that's Nike.
it is. Just do it. Yeah, you're right. Although, I wonder what Amazon's, like, drone logo will become. They haven't, like, trademarked them or anything. They need, like, a little swoosh, like the Nike has. All the Amazon drones should have, like, a little...
They have that smiley face thing.
Oh, is that what they all are? Little
Yeah,
smiley
the Amazon's
drones?
got like some kind of like weird smiley face.
Yeah,
thing.
it is on their packaging. I know that. I just didn't know the drones had it. I suppose.
I think the drones will have that. They'll probably be like NASCAR drivers too, so they'll just be covered in logos.
Sponsor, of course, yeah.
Sponsors.
But don't you think that'd be weird though if a little smiley ass drone like rolled up to your door
No.
or flew up? Like it's
It's
zooms
better
up
than
the door, it's
a
got little
human-shaped
grin.
robot. Human-shaped robots are more terrifying than robots.
It is. It's called Uncanny Valley. That's what that's called.
Yeah.
When it's too realistic and then something just slightly off tips you to that it's not human, that haunts people more than anything else like in the world. That Uncanny Valley shit.
It's like watching movies like I, Robot or playing that Detroit Becoming Human thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why would you make your robots look like people?
No, you need to be able to differentiate that, man.
No, absolutely not.
Right.
You make your robot look like a fucking robot.
Right, we'll stick it together with fucking toasters and vacuum bits and like any random metal parts that you can find. Make that thing as visibly non-human as possible.
Yeah, make it like a battle bot where it's got like a circular saw for a face.
Yeah, make it a transformer. If you're gonna make a robot, make a fucking
No,
transformer.
because they start becoming like human formed.
do they?
Look at Optimus Prime. He's got hands.
Well,
and
yeah,
thumbs.
but I'm not gonna mistake him for my coworker on the subway. Like Optimus
not
Prime
true.
looks like
I'll look
robot.
at Optimus and I'll be like, man, this is just a tall man.
Tall man with a dope ass sword.
Well, it depends on the day. Sometimes he has a gun.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. He does.
Sometimes he has a truck gun.
Depends on the attitude of Optimus. But anyway, Greg and I we decided anyway, even though when we realized that there are people living above us on this abandoned first floor of an apartment complex, seemingly, we still decided to set up here because, we felt like talking to each other, and what are we going to do?
And plus, also, like, there's a bunch of free stuff around here.
Oh, yeah.
Granted, the bathroom has turned into, like, a beach because, like, there's so much kitty litter in there.
There's so much kitty litter, and the one wall is open facing the beach. So, I mean, it does... If you were high and you wandered in there, I mean, you could feasibly be forgiven for thinking it was a beach.
Or if you were just adventurous.
Yes. High on life.
Yeah, like, like school kids in an 80s, coming of age story.
Yeah.
Wow, what's this house with all the empty needles?
Let's call it the Breakfast Club.
No, let's call it the Luncheon
Yeah,
Squad.
I like that.
And then Mickey Mouse stole our idea, and that's become the next Marvel movie.
Trademark, bitch. See you in court.
Yeah, definitely. That's what just happened. But anyway, yeah, don't send any mail to this place because we're not going to be here next week. But in the meantime,
just send your baloney to Greg's List, ggregslist@gmail.com.
That's right. We'll be looking for the bologna, definitely, because we are hungry, as evidenced by the fact that we just ate some bologna, which is supposed to have expired in 2003. But in the meantime, before either of us are rendered mute and sick by anything that we've consumed, I wanted to talk to you, Greg, about this movie that I just watched.
You just watched?
I just watched
a movie?
it. That's right. I literally I walked from the theater over to this building right now to meet you. That's why I was a few minutes late, actually. Those trailers really go on longer than they need to. And the movie that I saw, though, was Mission Impossible Fallout. And I saw it because someone who I've had the fortune of seeing 3 times on the L train, and the only reason I recognize them is because they have their very distinctive marks on their backpack, and they have all these stickers on their clothes, got weed, like 420 forever, like all this kind of like, marijuana stuff.
They look like they work at a TGI Fridays, but they're, stoners.
Yeah. Every day's Friday, man. Come on in. That's what he always says to me when I'm getting on the
Friday's
outside.
like the worst day of the week, though.
I know.
It's
I don't want
so
any day to be
busy.
Friday. Yeah.
Everyone wants to get out of work.
Yeah.
So they're all extra mean when they're all out.
They're angry, they're agitated, and they're just trying to vent their shit and consume enough to become somebody else, all inside of happy hour.
Yeah, and they also consume things.
Yes.
Like other people.
They do, sometimes it happens.
Especially in Chicago.
Yeah.
Like if you're on Kimball and Elston, get ready for a Vorfest.
Sometimes, man, when
Like
people
they'll
drink
hang
enough,
out outside that Fast Burrito and they'll just vor the shit out of each other.
at fucking 4:30, 5 in the morning on Saturday, you don't know.
Sometimes
what
even
you're gonna
3
see.
o'clock in the afternoon.
depending on who's over there.
There's probably some guy getting bored now. Yeah,
like that.
like that.
I know.
Or
We
like
do
a
have to-
snake.
we-
So it's like,
Like you just see it slowly getting consumed over the course of 24 hours.
you have to you leave him alone for like 6 hours. They come back and he's not even halfway done.
I know.
And if you scare him, he goes
And try and puke.
throws him out.
Pukes it all back up,
Yeah.
which is a lot quicker, actually. Like, to puke it takes a lot less time than to consume it. But we do have to watch out for that kind of stuff, by the way,
Yeah.
because one of these walls is just totally open. But
Yeah, hopefully no one walks in.
yeah, but anyway, this guy, I've seen him 3 times on the L train over the last couple of months, and he was in there. He stepped off at the Western Brown Line stop, and he was smoking a doobie. He was smoking just some of that wacky tobacco, and I smelled it, so I wandered over to him. And he was kind enough to lend me a hit, and he was like, hey, he's like, hey, man, where are you from? And, I was like, okay, well, like, let's skip through all this, like preamble nonsense. I was like, what are you doing today? Do you have any money? And he was like, no, man, sorry. Just had to pay my mom for some rent, And I was like, okay, not a big deal. And he was like, but I am going to see this movie. I've got an extra ticket because my girlfriend broke up with me about 20 minutes ago.
Wow, what a sad story.
I know, yeah. So I was like, okay, great. But anyway, I'm like, great. Well, let me just occupy that seat next to you there, homeboy. If you can get some popcorn, I'm totally into it. A cool environment in this hot summer Chicago day, I'm down for it. What are we seeing? And he was like, yeah, Mission Impossible Fallout. And I was like, okay, sure, why not? So we went and we watched it.
Were there Pit Boys?
There were no Pit Boys.
Was there an explosion?
No power armor, no explosions. Although radiation was a threat. The threat of nuclear war and explosions was the thing that
real villain of the story.
It was the thing that was
Chemical
moving
warfare.
I mean, I guess.
Would you even
On
say
some
that
level.
war was the villain of this film?
On some level, you could argue that, but there were
Ron Perlman in it.
It does not have Ron Perlman.
Ron
in it.
Perlman pop up and be like, "Look out, Tom Cruise!"
I wish.
And then he shot like 2 ninjas.
Oh, if only. And he was still wearing his like Beauty and the Beast mask and makeup from the 80s for no reason at all. He's just like, it's like, Ron, you're confused.
I haven't been able to take this stuff off in years.
Nobody will look at me otherwise.
But it's like, So anyway, we did go to the movie theater. I didn't catch this dude's name. Thankfully, we were silent during the entire movie, so I didn't have to hear anything about like the relationship or whatever. But the movie starts, and Tom Cruise is like in some, he's dreaming about his former wife, and like, all this crazy shit happens.
But isn't his former wife alive?
She is, but he's still dreaming of her. And in the dream, she like dies. They're like getting married, and some terrorist is like performing the wedding, and then all of a sudden at the end, he's like reading off a list of like Tom Cruise's like, offenses, and Tom Cruise is like, stop, no, stop this. And then he's just like, hey wife, like, do you take Ethan for this? And she's like, I do. And then this huge explosion goes off and they all get incinerated.
That sounds amazing!
Yeah, okay, it was a good start. The movie had a really good start. And even, at the beginning, they launch into the mission. In the first 20 minutes, it is pretty action-y, very little build-up. It's like there is that moment where he gets his package and his mission details delivered to him, and
Via drone?
No, via some German-looking dude in the night, Germanly dressed.
Boring.
Yeah. He's like, they said some code phrases to each other. He's like, yeah, Ethan Hunt, yeah. And he's like,
Vergenhuder.
Yeah, and Ethan's like, yeah. No, he actually didn't say his name. It was all in code. He was like, he gets up to the door and he was just like, fate whispers to the warrior. And then Tom Cruise goes like, a storm is coming. And the warrior whispers back, and Tom Cruise says, I am the storm. And he like leans into the light when he says it, and it was like,
and then he gives him a kiss on the forehead.
And his little mission instructions, yeah. He was just like, here you go. And then he's just like, bye. It's like raining and shit.
As he gives him like a box of chocolates, he's like, each of the chocolates has a message inside them. There is one tiny letter in each one, but not in the coconut one. I ate that on the way over.
Sorry.
There was a bee.
I got hungry.
There was a bee in that one.
Yes, so factor that in. Okay, goodbye. But anyway, yeah. So he gets his mission details. The way that it goes from there, this movie's very much a callback to other Mission Impossible movies. I think I've seen all but one of them. I think the most recent, the Ghost one, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, like before Fallout.
Oh my god, trying to remember all the names.
I know, I'm sorry,
So
I'm blanking on
Mission
this.
Impossible 1, 2, 3. Mm-hmm. I think 4 is Ghost Protocol, 5 is Rogue Nation.
Oh, okay, then I did see Ghost Protocol and I didn't see Rogue Nation, I think. Okay, so because I'm missing
My favorite one is Ghost Protocol.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
Ghost Protocol and 3 are really, really good. 3 is really good.
I know, I like MI3.
Like, the comeback from 2
is like
2 is terrible.
Especially bad. And I really like Tandy Newton. Like, that was all good, but like all the villains' lines are like cringeworthy.
And then the fact that there's so many doves everywhere.
Oh, all the time.
It's John Woo. He just likes his doves.
Woo. Yeah,
but 3 was great. Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Oh yeah, love that dude. Love him. So anyway, this movie, though, was, you could just tell they made all these references to former characters. They talked about, obviously, again, like Ethan's wife. She even though she's alive and that they had separated, she makes a resurgence in this movie. Michelle Monaghan, whatever.
Michelle Obama.
Not her, different chick, but the actress who played Ethan's wife, she's back in it. And Lang Stockton or Lang something, Solomon Lang or Lang Solomon, whatever. Slang, exactly.
Slang.
He's that mouse face looking guy, and the one whose voice was going in the trailers, who was all like, the fallout from all your good intentions, it's coming. Like that guy. He's like very, very mousy. Very mousy look, very strange face.
Very small. Enjoys wine with good cheeses.
Indeed. Puby beard.
Usually wears bright red shorts with 2 big gold buttons.
Yeah, that kind of guy, yeah. And he was, as I said, he was caught. They mentioned 2 years ago from this movie, like in the plot of Fallout, they said that this guy Lang was caught 2 years ago. So I don't know if that makes him the villain from Ghost Recon or the 5th movie, Greg. But either way,
you just combined Ghost Protocol and
damn it, Ghost Recon's a game. Okay, yeah. Ghost Protocol and
Ghost Protocol.
Flame Recon.
No,
Flame Recondant.
Reconnaissance.
Okay. MI6. 5.
No, MI6.
Which number is Fallout?
Fallout is 6.
Okay, gotcha. So
it's the MI6. You know, it's British.
Oh, yes, yeah, and which they obviously referenced a couple of times in this movie. So,
Well, of course they are. If your wordplay is going to be MI6, you better throw in like a James Bond kind of thing.
Right, totally. So they did mention that. I also, another thing that they reference, and I completely forgot about this from the earlier Mission Impossible movies, Greg, is that Tom Cruise works for like IMF specifically, and the IMF is like
Myth?
the International Monetary Fund. He works for like the global bank. Like the global bank doesn't have an agent that is this fucking cool. I guess if anybody was going to be able to afford the services of Ethan Hunt, it would be the IMF for sure. Yeah. But anyway, talking a little more about the movie, I guess just like Henry Cavill is in it. I won't spoil the way that his character arc goes, but it was interesting. He plays like a kind of a douchey character, which was cool to see Superman playing like this a effrontery douche guy, like right on the nose.
Or a guy with a CGI
stash gate. Yeah, I know. So we finally got to see the mustache that ruined Justice League, according to a lot of people.
It's a good thing I haven't wasted any of my time with that movie.
and let me tell everyone that a lot more ruined the movie Justice League than a CGI mustache removal on Henry Cavill. There was a lot wrong with that movie, but
what about what was wrong with
Fallout?
6?
Yeah. What was wrong with it is that I was hoping to see more fighting from Henry Cavill. There were really only 2 fights. One about a third of the way through the movie, and one at the end. And the trailer, it's just, he's a big dude, and like I was kind of Mission Impossible fights, especially the close quarter ones, can be kind of good. So I was really hoping for more of that from Henry Cavill, and there wasn't. There really wasn't a lot of like hand-to-hand fighting in this one. It felt like at all. There were probably like maybe 3 fights. There were some, as you'd expect, there were some great action sequences. There's a moment when Tom Cruise and Henry Cavill are skydiving in like the first half an hour of the movie, and that was a really, really cool sequence. The visuals of it, Tom Cruise wants to stop because there's a thunderstorm going on below them. So you look out of the plane and like Tom Cruise is ready to jump, and you're above this gigantic thunderstorm, and seeing that was like really cool. And then he tells Henry Cavill, we got to rethink this, and Henry Cavill's like, fuck you, and he like jumps out of the plane anyway, and then Tom Cruise has to go after him, of course. So that was really cool as they're falling, what they had to do, like that was really sweet. There's a car chase where Tom Cruise, they're going through, I think it was Berlin. It was either Berlin or Paris. I'm not 100% sure, but they're on the streets, and Tom Cruise is on a motorcycle. And at this moment during the movie, I was struck by just remembering that Tom Cruise does his own stunts. And I gotta say, man, for whatever else anybody has to say about Tom Cruise, any negative whatever, this guy really goes nuts to do a movie.
This guy is willing to get beat up by a car.
The stunts,
he's willing to be put into a back corner while a car punches him.
Yeah, he puts himself through, and it's like, the reason I thought of it this time is because there are a lot of wide shots showing him on the motorcycle going through oncoming traffic, and the camera pulls back, and it's like, that's fucking Tom Cruise on the motorcycle, really zooming in and out of these things. Like, it was crazy. And just the knowledge where I'm like, this isn't a stunt guy, this is the actor doing this. Props to the guy. Like, I have to give like credit for that. I mean, it's pretty cool to see him doing all that stuff.
It's pretty cool to watch him get bruised all over the place.
Yeah, and he does. Like, this movie, he definitely gets thrown around a lot. But all in all,
he doesn't get thrown around like in The Mummy.
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know if he.
I'm glad that you haven't sat through that.
No, I heard it was pretty bad.
It was pretty terrible.
I heard it was pretty bad.
My favorite part about that entire movie, I forget if it was in the actual like final cut of the movie, but it certainly was in the trailer. You know that scene where like they're stuck in the plane and the plane is like spiraling and Tom Cruise screams? They just got the sound of him screaming and then they played it verbatim.
They reused it
two times in a row, so it's oh, oh!
That sounds very entertaining for all the wrong reasons. But
Screamgate.
Yeah, it's Screamgate, totally. But anyway, just wrapping up Fallout. It's a 2.5-hour movie, and in my opinion, it's about an hour too long. It is actiony. You get some cool stuff, but the pacing of it is so varied. There are a lot of slow movements in the middle, and it has to do with the callbacks, as I mentioned, to the earlier Mission Impossible movies. There's some emotional stuff, but it doesn't really land too much, and as on the whole, it just makes the movie feel stretched where it didn't need to be. So it's cool. There were actiony parts that made it worth the watch, but it's definitely something you can wait to find at like a Redbox or for it to pop up on Netflix. I don't recommend going out to the theater to see it. It's just not worth that. It's just okay. Very middle of the road.
Dang.
Yeah.
Dang, that's rough.
I know, and you know, I love Simon Pegg, you know, like there's some good, like, there's a little comedic stuff with Ving Rhames in there, but it also almost feels like the writers of this, like, toward the end, like, they're like trying to, like, cut the wires of this bomb, and they're, like, on the comm link with Ethan, and they're like, what? When did you get in a helicopter? And they're like laughing to themselves, like, Ethan. And then they go back to trying to to sever
Please
the connection
tell me
of
that the
bomb.
movie ends with big yellow text popping up after that. Oh, Ethan.
It might as well have. And also, I will say, the last 45 minutes of this movie, like they start this countdown. The bomb gets armed, and it's 15 minutes of a countdown. This is the longest 15 minutes possibly in movie history. It was about 45 minutes of real time that, like, everything was actually, like, took place. And so they keep referencing the clock, and it's like, okay, bullshit. I was just watching him climb a rope up a helicopter for 7 minutes, and you tell me that only 1 minute has elapsed? Bullshit. So it was one of those kind of things where, you know, it's so stretched, and they're like laughing about this stuff. It didn't, as much as they took an effort to make it feel like the stakes were really high with, like, the radioactive threat to the world and, like, this huge humanitarian crisis. At the same time, because of the, like, laughing about, oh, Ethan, he's up there in his helicopter, and the kind of poking fun at, like, the franchise or, like, the characters in general, it made it feel like the stakes really weren't that high. It felt like everybody was like, okay, it's all gonna work out.
It's starting to sound more and more that, like, meta humor is just starting to get really old.
Kinda, yeah. Well, there's a good way to do it. You know, you look at Deadpool, right? Like, as an example of, like, I love that meta humor. Some people don't necessarily like that.
No.
But to me, I thought that worked. That was an effective use of it. With this, it was more like it was very half-assed and just kind of like a shadow of being self-aware. So it didn't really
Considering
land.
that, like, all the other movies beforehand, like, the amount of self-awareness in those movies are almost non-existent.
It's like zero. They're not, like, self-aware. So even just a hint of that in this one, it didn't really work with it. And you have to, for action movies of this, like, kind of scale, you kind of have to check your self-awareness. You have to make the audience believe that this character is doing these ridiculous fucking things. So you can't...
Yeah, I mean, like, look at the last 007 movies.
Totally.
The Daniel Craig era.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
they take themselves incredibly seriously.
Yeah, or
and that sets the tone.
Yeah, and Live Free or Die Hard, like the Die Hard franchise. Even I don't know about all of them, but the Live Free one, the scale and everything that's going on in that is, like, ridiculous. But they're still very much pushing the narrative that Bruce Willis is that guy that can do all that stuff. And you got to make the audience buy into that for the action movie. So, like, a self-aware, nudge in the ribs doesn't really fit a lot
Yeah,
of
the first
time.
one didn't have self-awareness, but it had humor.
Yes.
So,
Yeah,
I love Die Hard.
Yeah,
so much.
me too. It's wonderful.
I love the original Die Hard.
Did you see it that Bruce Willis recently said that it's not a Christmas movie? He officially.
lie.
I know, it was at some roast. It was probably the roast of him. He's not roasting anybody else. So he got up at the end of his roast and was like, Die Hard's not a Christmas movie. And I'm
He's
like,
a fool.
I think some people treat
a
it as
fool.
that. Yeah, it's like saying Nightmare Before Christmas isn't a Christmas movie. It's a Halloween movie. I watch it at Christmas and Halloween.
It's
so-
about Christmas.
I know. Yeah, exactly.
What else would it fucking be?
Yeah, I know.
The movie starts with the end of Halloween. It's
Yeah.
now time for Christmas.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like real life. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, once the pumpkins are all gone, on October 31st, as soon as November 1st hits, Christmas.
It's Christmas. That's it. All the stations start playing fucking Christmas music, and the only evidence of Halloween you see is candy wrappers, discarded masks, and fucking pumpkin guts all over the streets.
And then I dress up as a Santa Claus for 2 months. A lot of people have been avoiding me.
yeah, well, that suit, it's like the Trading Places Santa suit. It's very dirty. It smells like fish.
I'm sorry that, I've gotten some free snacks.
No, it works. It's just that, it's not for everybody. Some people are going to reel away from that,
It's just like Mission Impossible.
Exactly. It's not for everybody.
Way to bring it all around.
Hey,
Infinity
thanks,
loop there,
yeah,
buddy.
Yeah, hey, have fun in that Infinity Loop. But yeah, like I said, you can probably wait
Oh, God, get me off the Infinity Loop. I'm going to throw up.
Come on! Ooh, it's like a tilt-a-whirl. He's actually physically
Or like a
turning.
tilt-a-hurl.
Ooh, am I right? Yeah. So Fallout, you can wait for that to come out of theaters to check that out. But yeah, that's that.
Wowee. Well, let me tell you what I've been up to, Donald.
Tell me.
So, I was hanging out at that Amazon drop-off point that's at the Kohl's here in the city.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted to see if anyone was really gonna miss their packages, because they're like, oh, they're already returning them. And I was like, I have a gun.
Oh, where did you... Oh, of course, your robot finger, yeah.
I was like,
Did you cock it to show them, like, the different laser settings?
I showed a couple of the laser settings. I had to start bullshitting, though, because I've been kind of low on ammo.
Oh, okay.
And
So you're bluffing a little bit.
A little trigger happy lately.
Okay.
But, I mean, like, these are
That's
just,
hot.
like, these are
You get
just,
angry.
like, fucking rich people, like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't want my iPad.
Oh, I'm going to return this because it seems someone's fingerprint is on the
This
touch
book
button.
has a scuff on the front of it. I want to return it.
It's not for me, thank you.
No, thank you.
But in any case, I didn't really get a whole lot of good stuff. I got like a slap chop, and I got like a couple like hand towels.
Oh,
and-
ShamWow? Did you get any ShamWows?
No,
Okay.
no. It was just
Those are useful. I like those.
like dollar store like level quality like washcloths. I could see why they were returning it. It's super shitty.
Yeah.
But one of the boxes that I managed to get my hands on had something incredibly interesting in it.
Really?
I got myself a book.
What? A book?
It's a big art book.
Oh, wow.
So what
you
I-
brought it with. Look at that
Oh,
thing.
of course. I've been reading this thing for the last
That's
like week.
thick. That's
It's
a thick book.
It's a big boy. So what I got my hands on is the Go Team Venture, the art and making of the Venture Brothers.
Go Team Venture.
That's not how the song goes.
The Venture Brothers.
That's not how it goes.
That's okay. Hey, a book's not going to sing you a song, okay?
No.
I included that free of charge.
Well, thank you.
You are welcome.
Well, I know how we've talked about like your favorite show
Sure.
on the show.
This show.
This show.
We've talked about my favorite
We've talked
show on
about
this show.
we've talked about Frasier, and we've talked
Arrested
about
Development,
Arrested
yeah,
Development.
definitely.
Those are your favorite shows.
Yes, two of them.
The Venture Brothers is my favorite show.
Well,
Yes.
welcome to the show, Venture Brothers.
Yes. For those who have never heard of the show, The Venture Brothers is created by Jackson Public and Doc Hammer.
What excellent names.
Excellent names. Jackson Public is a stage name, though.
Of course.
He's used that ever since he worked for The Tick.
Doc Hammer is not a stage name?
Doc Hammer is his name.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Doc Hammer is one of the biggest hipsters I've ever seen in my entire life,
Love
and
it.
that definitely showcases in the writing of the show.
Oh, okay.
So The Venture Brothers is a show about failure. Mm-hmm. For those who have never heard about it, The Venture Brothers is kind of one of the bigger, better animated shows that started in early Adult Swim days.
Mm-hmm.
The show started airing like 2003?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And it is only 7 seasons in. Season
Yeah.
7 just started.
Because they took a long break. Is that what happened? Or
They did not take a long break.
were they canceled?
They were not canceled.
What happened?
They take time. So their show is
So they chose to take a break.
it's not a break. They're working on the show.
Well, for
There's-
how long?
It depends on the season. Some seasons have taken multiple years.
Wow, that is it's
It is
really
one of the
cool.
slowest moving shows out there.
Yeah.
But it shows.
Yeah.
Like how much work they put into every season. Because there are no like when you think of an animated show, you think of multiple directors in order to get multiple episodes out.
Yeah.
Jackson directs all of them.
Okay.
He is in charge of all of them, and he also writes. Him and Doc
Yeah.
write almost every single episode
Yeah.
by themselves.
It's-
and that's why this takes so long.
Yeah. It's just really interesting to me because you don't normally. It doesn't. regardless of success of a show, normal writers and creators of the shows don't have that luxury. They don't have that freedom by the network.
there's no the amazing thing from Adult Swim is that they didn't put a time limit really on them.
No, that's insane. I cannot think of any other shows that operate
lately,
by this business model.
The latest seasons are definitely that way. The early seasons, oh boy, they had deadlines.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
And that is what is showcased in this book. So this book, it's man, how many pages does this thing have?
Look at that meaty sucker.
It is a meaty, hefty book.
I really like the look of it too. Black cover, red inside, and there's a big skull, a big white skull on the front.
Well, that's the show logo.
Yeah,
because if you look in the nose,
is the two bros.
You see the brothers
high-fiving, and that makes up the skeleton's nose there.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
But in any case, this is one of the most in-depth art books I've ever gotten my hands on because it's more than just an art book. So this is more so a document of an interview with both Jackson and Doc, telling the backstory for every single episode of the Venture Brothers.
Wow.
From season 1 to season 6, because they obviously can't put season 7 in here because it just started.
Right.
But it has super in-depth notes, conversations between Doc and Jackson about like their favorite jokes, the writing method for a lot of these episodes.
Right.
The backlash they got very early on from then Adult Swim president. I forget his name. I'm not going to look in the book because there are too many pages. There's Mr. A.S. Ass.
That sounds really cool, and it sounds like a what you'd find on like a Blu-ray behind the scenes commentary.
It's pretty much the DVD commentary. If you never listen to the DVD commentary, because it can be really chaotic, because when you put a bunch of writers in a room, not to mention the voice actors, because the voice acting cast for the Venture Brothers is very wide.
Yeah.
Between Bill Hader now being a major cast member, Patrick Warburton, James Olbrich, and then of course Jackson himself and Doc are both majority of the side characters, because Jackson plays Hank Venture, one of the twin brothers. He plays the villain, the Monarch. He plays his henchman 24.
Oh, wow.
He plays Mr. White. Doc and Jackson play a lot of the side characters.
Right.
Most of the time, if the characters are a duo, Doc will be one, Jackson will be the other.
Oh, interesting.
For example, henchman 24 and henchman 21. Doc and Jackson.
Right.
Billy Quizboy and Mr. White. Doc and Jackson.
What about Monarch and, what is it, Dr. Girlfriend? Is that...
Doc and Jackson.
Nice, very cool.
That is how the entire show is pretty much built, except for the Venture family themselves, because you have James Olbrich. He only plays Doc Venture and Phantom Limb. Other than that, he's like throwaway lines.
Sure.
And then Michael Cedar Nicholas, I think that's how his last name is pronounced. No, that's a comedian. The guy who plays Dean, he is only Dean.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Interesting.
Because he sounds like a tween.
Yeah.
No matter what he does. But in any case, like, just going through this book is amazing because I loved seeing all these old sketches that Jackson made when he first came up with the show. The original drawings, like he has all of these, and they're all littered throughout the book. So you see the background sets, the one-off sets that they made. Like there's an episode where they have to do this magic like treasure hunt, or the world will end. That's pretty much how this show works.
Yeah.
Two of the characters run into Johnny Quest, who exists in this world, and he's a drug addict that was living in an underwater base for years, and they had to come up with what would Johnny have in a room by himself for years.
Yeah.
The attention to detail with a lot of the backgrounds, a lot of the character writing is incredible. This is why I love the show so much. They spend so much time world building. I know every single time someone talks about the Venture Brothers, the first thing they talk about is how slow season 1 is before it turns into its own thing. Season 1 it feels like it's a Johnny Quest parody, like, from the start.
Yeah.
Because you have the Venture family, very obviously, like, yep, these are Johnny Quest.
Yeah.
But instead of Race Banner being, like, super suave bodyguard, you get Brock Sampson, who is a sex machine, but also a violent psychopath when he's on the job.
Yeah, absolutely. Has no qualms about killing anything that's threatening, like the Venture Boys. Yeah.
But them, like, reading how they work the characters into what they are currently, like Brock starting off as a psychopath, but now he's very much more like a disheveled father because he's much more of a father figure to the boys.
Totally, than Dr. Venture is, certainly.
I just loved going through this entire book, getting the background, like how Jackson came up with the show, because he had been spending the last, like, decade on The Tick because he was a writer for the comics. Then he became a writer and director for the cartoon, and then he became a writer for the live-action show.
Oh, no kidding.
Him and Ben Edlund, the creator of The Tick, had their hands on him the entire time of The Tick's run.
Yeah.
But it was, like, not even 2 years after The Tick finished up shooting, he goes and makes this pitch for the Venture Brothers.
Wow.
And then seeing, like, the background of, like, how season 1 worked, like, some of my favorite episodes. There's one episode where they have to get this ghost that's haunting a boat to go away. It turns out that he's a former soldier for Rusty Venture's dad. He's an obvious reference to David Bowie. He's Major Tom.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
He's not a threat at all. The only thing he does is
scream. Yeah, of course. That's a great episode.
The Adult Swim president hated that episode.
Oh, wow.
When he first saw the writing. He was like, he read the script and he's like, this sounds terrible.
Yeah.
It's a Scooby-Doo thing, but with a ghost that only screams. This sounds bad. But once he heard the voice acting and he saw the early storyboards of, like, because they don't storyboard like I know a lot of animated shows do that. They rely more on storyboard writing than actual script writing.
Yeah, sure.
Venture Bros is script writing. They pay very much attention to that. The storyboarding happens after the script is written.
Gotcha.
Because they want depth in the writing. They care more about the dialogue than how the animation works or looks.
Exactly.
But now, because the show is so well known and it's done so well, it's one of the longest running Adult Swim shows, even though it only has 7 seasons.
Yeah.
The animation.
Well, you just think about that. If it started in 2003, it's been 15 years. So, like, that's on average, for only 7 seasons of a show in that amount of time. That's just why I was struck by before being like, well, what was the gap? And it makes sense that they take their time, and that's cool. It's just, like I said, I don't really know of any other show that has that kind of freedom.
It's very rare to come across a show like that.
To be allowed to just take as much time as you'd like writing, like, how long has it been from when season 6 was done to season 7 airing now?
I want to say it's been year and a half, 2 years.
2 years is a long time.
The longest break was in between 5 and 6. I believe season 5 ended 2013? Yeah, 2013, and then 2016 was when
the other one aired?
Next season. So about 3 years.
Almost 3 years. That is, for a network television show, even a network as Adult Swim, that is insane. It's crazy to imagine that people have that kind of freedom.
If you look at the runtime of all of Adult Swim shows, like, their seasons are pretty long, and there's pretty long waits in between those shows. Like, look at Aqua Teen.
Yeah.
Aqua Teen Hunger Force relied on reruns.
Oh yeah, they did.
That's something that a lot of networks use. I know Cartoon Network did that with Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Mm-hmm.
They aired reruns of the first 2 episodes constantly.
Yeah,
to save money.
Yeah, yeah.
No, and it wasn't for waiting. It was to save time and money.
Until
like more episodes could be made and shit like that. I don't want to get in depth with animation stuff because animation stuff is fucking weird. It's much more different than...
I gotcha.
There's so much more going into it than a regular ass show because you have to put into, okay, the actual time it takes to animate it. Also, they do all their animation out of house in Korea, so...
Okay.
It's a lot of like back and forth between the Korean animators and the directors in America, and
yeah, and I guess just thinking about it, like, you know, Adult Swim is a fully animated network, and there aren't that many.
Not true. They have a shit ton of live action.
Okay. Either way, you don't. I guess that's why they would be free to allow animators to take their time making shows, because they're the only network that has to consider how long an animation would take to make into their business model.
Yeah.
Any other networks that are major, Comedy Central, any of them, like, they would rely a lot more on live action shows and maybe have an animated one squeaked into their lineup. But Adult Swim is the only one that would have to, on a grand scale, factor in animated production schedules. And that, I guess, would be why they would be comfortable allowing a show to take 3 years between producing seasons.
Yeah. And it could also be because of like the time slots with Adult Swim.
Yeah.
Because it's such a small window of time compared to a major broadcasting, because they're like, oh, The Venture Brothers airs at midnight on Sundays.
Yeah.
Like, inconvenient times for most normal audiences. How Adult Swim built their audience is fucking stoners.
Stoners and teenagers, I think. They're not looking at, like, productive adults with jobs to watch their shows when they're released.
People who are up late night,
exactly,
not doing a fucking thing, being like, hey, you got some Funyuns and some snacks?
Yeah.
How about Aquatine?
Here you go.
How about Mr. Pickles?
Yeah, and also thinking that a lot of their shows, like, you think about some of those shows, those are only like 15 minutes an episode, a lot of the shorter ones. Like, that's...
And The Venture Brothers was one of the first one to come out that was a half-hour block.
Really?
And they also have a lot of episodes that are like an hour and a half.
Yeah, wow, that's interesting.
So you could see how short some of the seasons are, because season 6 felt ridiculously short for me. There was only 8 episodes. But
wow,
the pilot is an hour and a half. So really...
Yeah, it's like a movie followed by like 5 other episodes.
Yeah.
Interesting. Cool.
But that's how the show works. So, yeah, this book, Go Team Venture, The Art and Making of the Venture Brothers. I really love this book. If you love the show, I highly encourage you pick it up, because it's really in-depth. It isn't just 100 or so pages of just like photos with no context. It's in-depth interview about every single episode and the making of every single episode.
Yeah, no, that sounds cool. It sounds like if you're a fan of the show, this would be something right up your alley.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen the show, probably not going to be much of a reaction from you. But
I mean, it's a big, heavy book.
True.
If you want to like throw it around,
you can defend yourself with it.
I feel like this guy that I took it from would have used it on me, but...
He wasn't expecting a robot hand, was he?
No, he wasn't expecting a laser gun. Just pap, pap.
No. Cool. Well, okay, so yeah, Mission Impossible Fallout, wait for it to come out, and then Go Team Venture. Book, pick it up if you like the show. It sounds cool.
Yeah.
All right, Greg, let's read the email this week from Greg's List at gmail.com.
Greg's List?
This one comes from Joel. Hello, Joel.
Hi, Joel.
He says, "Hi, guys. Just found your podcast. I thought this was a lo-fi hip-hop thing, and then you guys just stopped beatboxing and started talking for like an hour. Yeah,
That's
Joel.
how a podcast works,
That's
buddy.
what we do, man. Okay, the beatbox thing, that is our warm-up. That is what we do in order for Greg and I to get kind of on the same page, to scatter the cobwebs from, our frontal lobes and just get
also
into
from
the
our
creative.
mouths, because sometimes, there could be days where we don't talk.
Absolutely. And sleep with your mouth open and stuff is just cobwebs. They get
You know how many
everywhere.
spiders you swallow a day?
How many do you swallow a day?
I don't know, probably like 600.
Depends on the day, I think. Yeah, 600 on a great day.
Depends on where I'm sleeping.
That too, for sure. That
One
has
time
lots
I
to
was
do
in a
with it.
cave, and I think I had about like 1,800 spiders.
A lot of them. Caves are great spots for spiders. They love
You know what? You would think that spiders would be like juicy.
dry. They are dry and crispy.
Yeah.
Restaurants, not a lot of spiders, but a lot of discarded food, a lot of food left on platters and pans and such. It's so yeah, it's give and take.
It's give and take, but
That's life.
and you know what else is a give and take? Beatboxing.
It
because
is.
it helps us warm up.
Yeah.
It helps us feel good
Yeah.
about our decisions.
Yeah, get on the same page, and so that's kind of why we do it.
Yeah, we're not those fucking 2-hour long YouTube videos of
We're not-
lo-fi hip hop.
Yeah, we're not beatboxing and freestyling because that's the only way we have
You know
to
what?
express ourselves.
Is this why like that skunk radio guy was trying to pay attention to us?
This
He's
is
like,
probably
oh man,
why.
this hour-long beatbox
They
sesh,
listened to-
these guys are crazy.
They listened to the first 2 minutes and then they turned it off and they were like, wow, look at how many episodes they've got. They're just beatboxing and freestyling for an hour every week. No, everybody, listen past the first 2 or 3 minutes, and that's just our warm-up thing. This goes to you as well, Joel. He says, you should come up with a better name. I hear Boxcar Buddies, I think beatboxing and sick flows.
Our name is literal. Like we're in a boxcar.
Dude, normally, I know today we're in the crack den
No,
or whatever.
he
but-
doesn't know that.
No, you're
Shush.
right. Yeah, okay. Joel, we're always in boxcars.
We're
man.
always in a boxcar.
That's why we're the boxcar.
We're not in a
buddies.
comfy abandoned apartment with soft couches.
Soft couches and fridges with surprise baloney from a few years back, and people upstairs living their lives and playing music and just hanging out and stuff like that.
What a bunch of sick beats up there.
Yeah.
Speaking of sick beats,
bye,
maybe if
Joel
you just
says.
go up there, Joel.
Yeah, Joel, here you go. We're at we're in Chicago somewhere off. We're in.
Let's not give
Logan,
our
yeah.
address away. We don't want people doxing us.
No, we don't. Although they can come use this crack den, as far as I'm concerned. All right, and then he says, "Bye, Joel from Uptown." Well, Joel, fuck off. Our name is our own, and listen if you like, but we're not beatboxing and freestyling for an hour. We do it to get on the same page. Then we talk about the stuff that we want to talk about, which today was a movie and a book, and we want to tell you whether or not we think it's worth your time.
What kind of nerd podcast does that? Talk about a book and a movie.
This one,
right
Boxcar Buddies. That's what we are.
here. Yep, that is us.
That's right. We had to high five on that.
Hey, what the fuck are you doing in my building?
Hey, we're just. What are you
Get the
talking
fuck out
about?
of my building.
What do we? Hey, dude, easy. Hey, Fred, we said you told us we could record in here. You said nobody was coming in.
No!
Ah, fucking Fred. All right, Fred's insane. We got to get out of here, Greg.
Fred's the fucking super around
yeah,
here.
yeah.
damn it.
And which?
Why are you still talking? Get out!
Fred, fucking, this whole place is violation of code. How do you even have people living
Get
upstairs
out of
from
my
here?
building!
Oh my God. Okay.
Get out!
All right, relax. We're wrapping up.
I
Jesus.
got the proof.
All right, back up. All right. Anyway, we got to get out of here now. Fred's really.
Ow! Stop hitting me with your broom!
He's really insistent. Thank you very much for listening. Again, I'm Don.
I'm Greg.
And we will talk next
Get
week.
out!
We'll talk next week. Bye-bye.
Get
Ow! Fuck you, Fred. We get it. We're leaving.
out of my building!
Give me that fucking broom, Fred. Get the fuck away from me. Yeah. You fire that shit, Greg. Fuck you and your broom. Fuck this whole fucking place.
I'm gonna burn it.
Yeah, burn the shit to the ground. Oh, it's so quick. It's burning so quickly.
There must have been a lot of gasoline or
Hell
something
yeah.
in there.
Hey, everybody should get out. Turn off your music and come down. This place is about to burn down.
Oh no. I left the recording equipment in there.
Oh, fuck. All right, I'm gonna get it. All right. Wish me luck.
Great numbers of
What you just heard was a fantasy, a fiction cooked up for your amusement and the catharses of the hosts. Please have mercy on them.